Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our live today. We are so excited to announce a new initiative that we've been working on behind the scenes for about half a year, but we're ready to share it with you all. I'm here with Kicks Count UK and some of our supporters on this project. We would like to introduce the topic, which is of fetal movement, misinformation online. And I don't know how many of you have read certain myths out there, but there are some that are quite dangerous that are online for mothers who are concerned about their baby, who are going to find information sometimes in the middle of the night when their doctors aren't available, and they're finding out things that are encouraging really them to stay home rather than to seek help immediately. So that's what we're kind of going through right now. And I'm going to introduce my partner here in crime, who has been working hard on this idea with one of our change makers, Anne Marie, actually behind the scenes, and she's done some really incredible work on trying to find certain websites, reaching out to them and making sure that they update their pages. And over here, our friend Elizabeth across the pond is doing the same over there. So why don't you say hi to everyone and tell us why you're so excited about this?
Yeah, I think it's one of those really important topics. And while we're doing what we can over here in the UK to raise awareness of babies' movements and the importance of it, the internet is worldwide and everyone has access to all the information. So making sure that that information is accurate is so important. It can't just be country by country, because that's not how the internet works. You know, we've kind of got this new realm of information that we need to stay on top of.
Yeah, we talked about this for a while. As much as you have done over there, and you've been very successful in getting people to come on board and updating their websites and taking out the myths, it's hard because people over there still Google and they're going to look at anything that comes up. Our big pages come up for them as well. So even though your medical system's better about protocols and everything like that, and what the doctors are telling them might be quite better than what we're getting here so far, they're still going to get some misinformation, just unfortunately, by virtue of the internet being worldwide. So that's why this is an international initiative. So I want to invite our guests here just to jump on stage. We have pulled in a couple more organizations, and there's more behind the scenes, and we hope much more will join us as well to just reach out to anybody they're connected with and who they can access. So let's start first here. We have someone from Canada. So let's give the other part of the world a little shout out here. Nadine, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, I'm Nadine Belzil, and I'm the current chair and co-founder for the Canadian Collaborative for Stillbirth Prevention. And we're working in Canada with the Society of Obstetricians and Gynecologists of Canada and the Public Health Agency of Canada. And we want to inform everybody about fetal movements. I mean, I myself have lost a child due to not knowing what fetal movements were and how important they were. So we're lucky in Canada too that the SOGC changed our guidelines in September 2023 to get rid of the 6 movements per 2 hours that we had previously. And they moved to just monitoring your baby's movements and knowing, if there's something wrong, to go to get checked. But it's still not reflected in every website here in Canada either the hospitals or other websites that talk about monitoring your baby's movements. So yeah, we're happy to join the Internet Scrub today and connect with those websites that are having difficulty updating to the current guidelines.
So over there, it's probably a little bit easier, I would say, because you do have the protocols and updates through your government system. So let's ask Emily, because she's over here with us in America, where we don't have that luck yet, but she's been working really hard with Count the Kicks to get that done state by state and hopefully at a national level now. Hi, Emily. Do you want to say a little bit about this topic and what you guys are working on too?
Yeah, I first want to thank you for your leadership, but push for elevating this in our country and all across the globe, that this is a real issue, because misinformation is deadly. And we know that it's deadly because we hear from moms a lot who say, I was told to just drink juice, or I was told to just come in for my appointment in a few days and everything would be fine. Well, things aren't fine. When misinformation is out there, it can be deadly. And that's why I really appreciate your leadership of having a day like this, hosting this event, and all the work that's gone into combating misinformation. Count the Kicks is about 17 years old, and we have been trying to educate folks all across the US with our stillbirth prevention program. It is saving lives when people have the right information, when moms are given a free app that we have, or a poster or a brochure in their doctor's office. Lives can be saved. And that's the whole point of this collaborative work, is that just getting the correct information out there. We even heard sometime last year from one of our app users. She noticed a change in her baby's movements, and she went into her doctor and nurse in one of our southern states here in the US. And the nurse said to her, well, just put ice on your belly to get your baby to move. And that's been one of the more egregious things that we've heard as far as misinformation. Like that's not going to help get your baby here safely. And so I just want to say thank you, and happy to be a part of this collective work to combat misinformation.
Thank you, Emily. I'm actually a pop Sam in here because she's our other push leadership team member who's like on this call. And like she has to go, but I want her to say two things real quick. Sam, first of all, thank you for all the work on all our projects. And this has been a really important one, I know, for you as well. You always join everything. If you can unmute and just share really quickly why this is important to push. And I mean, we just tried everything. We did a little don't drink the juice viral challenge. We've tried to do videos ourselves, just being silly, but it's like, seriously, like stop telling moms to drink juice. They need to know that if they feel something's different, they need to get checked out.
Thank you, Anna. I mean, thank you, all of you guys, for all of the work that you've been doing. And, especially to Elizabeth and to Emily, you guys have been at this for years longer than us. And Nadine, I think you started around the same year as Push, right? Because I remember we both joined ISA at the same time.
Yeah, around 2020. Yeah. So it's been like 5 years.
Yeah. So thank you guys for, laying the groundwork. And we're just so thrilled to be able to work arm in arm with you to get this vital information out there. I mean, it's really shocking and horrifying. But the truth is that we hear these stories every single day. Just last week, I was in a meeting with the Measure the Placenta team, and there was a new family who had joined who had, had the same exact experience as so many of us had, and their loss was recently in the last few months. They noticed a change in movements. They called, they asked for help. They were told all those myths about what to do and wait to come in, count kicks for 2 hours. They went in. They refused to be the hospital refused to put them even on a monitor, and they said, oh, everything is fine, sent them home. They came back the next day and their daughter was gone. And like, this is not an uncommon story. It's happening, up to 65 times a day in this country. And so we need to do more. We need to do better. And if our medical and public health system is not going to take the onus upon them, then us as parents need to do what we can to protect each other. And so I'm really grateful for all of you here and everything that you're doing. And huge shout out also to our community who has been instrumental in helping us to locate misinformation online. Obviously, there is a lot of it. So our team went through some of the major sites and we're able to reach out to those content editors and have had some wonderful responses. We've been particularly thrilled to have had positive reception from WebMD, from Healthline, from What to Expect. I mean, these are big name sites, and the work is underway. So, I mean, we're having an impact. We're having an impact, and it's going to get there. But we need to keep going. And so for today, for International Fact Checking Day on April 2nd, we just thought it was a great time to all come together and make sure that we are talking about about this issue and make sure that we are giving everybody the tools to help us continue to make progress. So thank you everyone for being here. And I've actually got to run, but it's great to see you all.
Thank you, Sam. Appreciate you. I did share on the screen right now a comment from our Facebook from a mother, Whitney, who did lose a baby, Baba or Baba. I don't know how to say it. I'm sorry. But she said she wasn't listened to at any of her appointments. And when she went to get checked out, she eventually had a placenta rupture at home. So she's encouraging mothers to listen to their bodies. I'm so sorry for your loss. And yes, I didn't share. Of course, I have a personal connection to this, to my son, Owen, who would be 10 this year, unfortunately isn't here. And I felt the same way in my pregnancy a little bit. Not really heard about some of the symptoms that I shared. And having already had a child, I think everyone, including myself, just expected things to be fine. Eventually, unfortunately, he did have cord compressions and I didn't recognize it. Of course, I couldn't see it happening or anything, but I did feel a change of movement towards the end of my pregnancy. And that was the final day, really, when I said, this is different. My son's very active. So it was the middle of the night. Of course, I did the Google thing because I couldn't call my doctor. I wasn't sure what to do. So we had never had this conversation properly, which is why I'm such a big supporter of Count the Kicks coming to everybody with their program, because every doctor should be actually educating you on this. My doctor, after the fact, many years later, when I found out why Owen died and I wanted to talk about it, was like, well, you should have got a pamphlet. Usually get it when you get pregnant. We give you a bag of like things, which is like vitamins and stuff like that. Like, well, that was really not, how you should handle this. You really need to do more than that. You need to have a very good conversation on it, especially later in pregnancy. Like we encourage after 26 weeks to start your kick counting so you can get to know your baby's normal. And there's different ways to do that. We don't want to really be prescriptive about that. And I think, Elizabeth, I'll let you share a little bit about how you guys do it over there, because it's different from Count the Kicks method. But it's overall just getting to know your baby's personality and their patterns and things like that. And that's one of those misconceptions online, like Nadine mentioned, we were trying to get rid of. Like everyone for so long has said 10 kicks in 2 hours is normal. And it's like, that's not necessarily your baby at all. Like my baby, he was like 50 kicks in 15 seconds. Like I can't tell you, but so that's a very important distinction that we're trying to make sure all the websites erase, that there's no normal set number. That's not what you're going for. You're just going for understanding your baby. You want to share, Elizabeth, your perspective on that one?
Yeah, no, I wasn't sure if you were done. I didn't want to interrupt.
We already debunked no drinking juice, no ice water, kind of things to encourage movement. Like this is the time where you need to react quickly and get to the doctor and let them do their testing.
Yeah, I think over here it's very much about giving the parents confidence as well, of trust your instincts and your baby better than anyone, and don't compare pregnancies or baby. Every baby is different and every pregnancy is different. So don't even compare it to your previous pregnancy. You might say, oh, in my last pregnancy I had this. It's a different baby. It's your placenta might be in a different position. There are so many factors that affect how you feel movement, that actually having a standardized thing isn't going to work, because there's just too much variation there. So I think it's getting to know what's normal for your baby and reporting any change in that. And it's a really simple message. And I know there are various ways that you can get to know what's normal for your baby. But the important thing is to know what your baby's regular pattern is. And if you notice a change in that, to report it and be confident in reporting that as well. I think that's where we want to give people the confidence to maybe not overrule, but if they do come across a website with misinformation, to have the confidence to know that actually that is incorrect information, and not to just blindly trust everything. You are your baby's biggest advocate, so have the confidence in that.
Does anyone else? Emily, you want to share?
Yeah, I'd love to echo getting to know your baby's normal. That's absolutely what Count the Kicks teaches parents all across the globe is get to know what's normal for your baby. Our method is based on evidence and research, and how you get to know your normal through our app or through paper kick counting charts is to time each day in the third trimester how long it takes your baby to get to 10 movements each day. And so my baby might take 20 minutes on average to get to 10 movements during that daily kick counting session. And Nadine's baby might take 4 minutes on average, but I need to know that 20 minutes is normal for my baby, and Nadine needs to know that 4 minutes is normal for her baby. Also, within our app, we have a strength feature. So we also know that not just how long it takes your baby to get to 10 movements is important, but the strength of your baby's movements is also really important. So after you have your daily session where you get to know how long it takes your baby to get to 10, you can also then judge on a scale of fluttery to fierce what your baby's strength is that day. So if a baby has been a consistent 4 or 5, and all of a sudden one day your baby is a 1 or a fluttery on a scale of fluttery to fierce, that's a big change for your baby. And that's something else that we educate moms on is strength is really important. In fact, we just had a save story. Our most recent save story that we put out yesterday was a mom who saw on TikTok about our app and the strength feature. And it was the strength feature. It was noticing that her baby's strength of movements had changed, that it gave her the confidence to know something was different in the strength, to speak up and tell her doctor. And ultimately that saved her baby's life. It's on our socials right now if you want to read her story. But it's another example of get to know what's normal between strength and how long it takes you to get to 10, because every baby is different. That's exactly right. One pregnancy of yours could be very different from another's. Your baby's own personality is what you have to know. And one thing I would share is that this internet scrub is so critical because places that are giving misinformation, what we would think are trusted sources, it's so important to have the right information out there. But we, time and time again, know that providers are also trusted sources. So the doctor or the nurse or the hospital system that you go to is critical. And so that's why our organization over the last 2.5, 3 years has partnered with AWON. It stands for the Association of Women's Obstetric and Neonatal Nurses. It's the large OB nurse association in America. We have entered in a pilot study with them over the last 2.5 years, and they came up with a protocol, a module, a standard of care for what to do when a mom comes in with a complaint of a change in movement. And that was just published in February. It exists. I can put the link in the chat here in a little bit. But if you are currently pregnant or you're going to see your OBGYN, let them know that this module exists, because the misinformation among providers is real too and continues to happen in America. Like I mentioned, the nurse in Mississippi saying, just put ice on your belly. Well, surely that wasn't learned in nursing school, right? Like that is complete misinformation that providers should not be sharing with their patients. And so we also know that this internet scrub is absolutely going to help providers, moms, partners, spouses, but also educating providers on what to do when a mom comes in with a complaint. So first, it's being proactive, talking about it in prenatal appointments before there's hopefully any concern, but also knowing what to do when there is a concern. Perform the ultrasound, take them seriously, run a non-stress test, all of those things in a biophysical profile that providers should be doing to have that optimal outcome, not just for babies, but for moms too, because we know the CDC's Hear Her campaign, the reason why a change in movement is one of their things to look out for as an early red flag also impacts mom's health as well. We've had a lot of moms who use our app who say a change in my baby's movements alerted me that I had preeclampsia that had gone undiagnosed, or the start of a placental abruption, which could be deadly for both mom and baby. So even though we are all here as stillbirth prevention organizations, we know how important this is to mom's health as well. And so if you are currently pregnant, or if you are a provider who's listening, I would strongly encourage you to get to know that AWON module and that protocol, because it's evidence-based guidance. It was piloted in sites all across America on how to address concerns when a mom comes in, and so it's out there now. And we're just really grateful that we continue to have all of us in this work together, creating more tools and resources and more evidence-based information for moms, partners, providers, all of the above. So thank you again.
I think also you touched on something there that's really important, is why the internet scrub is so important, is that people do trust a big brand. If you're used to seeing a big brand everywhere, I'm not going to name names, but if you see a big brand somewhere and they've got they're a $1 billion company, you're going to trust their information. And if that's incorrect, you then get smaller companies that are kind of doing the sly, I'm just going to copy what they've done and change a few words on it. And it just filters down so quickly there's no basis for that misinformation. And sometimes it will be that, but we had it written by a doctor. And like you say, not all doctors, not all professionals get it right. They have to go back, they have to look at the research. And I think that's what we are willing to do, is present them with all the evidence they need. And also we've got a dedicated email address as well called checkcontent@kickscount.org.uk. So if a company, if you're a small company and you're like, I don't have time to worry about all this, email us, we'll do it for you. We will write your content for you. We will review your content for you. We will do whatever you want. It doesn't have to be a big work burden for you or for any company. You can get in touch with us and we'll do it for you. It's just being open to that accepting that maybe your information might not be correct and changing it, being open to that change and getting everyone on board, because it is going to filter down, and the more then you're going to get, there's going to be more websites that have that incorrect information, which means Google's going to assume that it's the correct information, and it's just kind of snowball and snowball. So I think getting all of these companies to check their content, review their content, or just get in touch with us and ask us to review it for them. It's so important. It's not just the medical professionals and our charities. We're all giving the correct information, but if there are big companies that aren't, it's kind of undoing all our work. So yeah, really important point.
It really is. That's such a great point. I appreciate you mentioning that. It does undo all the work. One other thing that I would add as an additional tool in all this is in the last year or so, we've added something to our app called Ask Anna. And so for app users and also folks that are on our social media or on our website, one of the things that moms can do is ask our AI assistant, and it's all evidence-based information that they're going to get in return. And what we found is we've had almost 5,000 women ask Anna questions about, is this normal for my baby, or should I go see my doctor now, or what is normal? Asking those common questions in the third trimester. And Anna will give a curated response. And oftentimes it's things like, don't hesitate. Go tell your doctor that you've noticed something has changed. Do not wait for your next appointment. It's that kind of, what we have realized is it's mom asking those questions. And so it becomes that second voice in mom's head of, don't listen to that misinformation that you might be finding on one of your search engines or something, or any of these places that might have misinformation. Instead, it's like this backup, this additional backup of like, don't hesitate, don't go in. And so if you happen to be using the Count the Kicks app, or you have a friend that's pregnant, encourage them to use Ask Anna to ask questions. And she's going to give you all of the evidence-based information in return and really be that extra nudge. A lot of us have well-meaning mother-in-laws or girlfriends or grandmothers who just say, they reinforce, right? Like they reinforce that your baby's just running out of room.
Yeah, that's a big one too. I was going to say, we hear so many. Nadine, when you said earlier that you had also read misinformation, what was it that stood out to you? Do you remember? Because actually some of the pages are still in existence that I read, I think, and those are the ones I'm working on now. So I feel very triggered when I'm doing this, because I'm like, oh my God, it's still out there, and people are still reading this. So do you feel that way too, Nadine, or is there anything specific?
Well, yeah, the old SOGC guidelines said that if you notice your baby's movements, reduced baby movements or something like that, then you should stop and count within 2 hours whether you have 6 kicks. And if you don't have them, then go to the hospital. That's too long to wait. And that's not accurate right now. And a lot of the websites in Canada still carry that old information. And the SOGC hasn't been doing any promotion of the new guidelines that they've developed. So we're kind of doing it for them. And we've updated our own Count the Kicks or movement pamphlet also with their new guidelines, and we have it on our website at www.cc4sp.ca/resources, where people can go and just take the pamphlet to your doctor's appointment and discuss with him or her what monitoring kicks is all about and how to do it, and also, myths surrounding kicks counting also. And one of the myths that I was introduced to was when my doctor said to me, it's normal for babies to run out of room at the end of the pregnancy and not move as much. And, by the time I noticed that she wasn't moving at all, my baby her heartbeat had already stopped. So those are dangerous myths out there. And just also knowing that stillbirths still occur, that's one of the myths I think that people have, is that they don't understand that stillbirths still occur in Canada, in the UK, in the US, in developed countries. Yes, stillbirths do occur still. And here in Canada, it's up to 3,000 babies a year that die like that.
And also, remember, it's not just the high risk pregnancies. I think a lot of people think if they're a low risk pregnancy, they're fine, and go, you still need to be aware. And it's because, it's not just the high risk pregnancies, it's all pregnancies need to be aware.
Yeah, and the old SOGC guidelines talked about counting your movements in high-risk pregnancies, but the new guidelines say all pregnancies, whether they were at risk or not, women should be monitoring their baby's movements. So that's important also. That's another myth, it only concerns at-risk pregnancies, which is false.
My
pregnancy wasn't at risk and I lost the baby. So
80% start out without any risk. When we have these stillbirth statistics, it's kind of shocking because you think about it, you're like, well, of course, my pregnancy was always deemed low risk until it wasn't, until something happened and they weren't actually looking at the cord at all. So of course the compression happened there, but had I had this higher risk care, maybe they would have, and they would have also talked to me more about the movement and things like that. So we are losing 21,000 babies a year actually in our country. So it's incredibly unfair for families. Even we should know this stuff. We want to know how to protect our babies. Give us this information, and that's what we're just working on, is having it standardized across the country, across the internet. And this is actually one more comment I want to highlight here just with all you, because it is important to note that even in Facebook groups online, moms are sharing, I'm concerned, and they don't know who to ask, so they're asking other moms. So moms are telling each other, oh, that's fine, that's normal, babies will run out of room, my baby did this and he was just fine. It's of course, it's survivor's bias too, because we do know, of course, there could be babies born with the nuchal cord and they survive, but that doesn't mean that every nuchal cord situation will be fine. The cords are different lengths. They have different, wart inch jelly. There's all the stuff that comes into play for these pregnancies. So I really hate when people discourage other mothers from going to get checked out when we don't know. We cannot assess someone from home. None of us can tell you. And we're not saying you're going to have a loss or you're close to being, a lost mom, but we don't want you to be. So just go get checked out as soon as you possibly can.
I think I've certainly here in the UK, I don't know about in the US as well, but with the online forums and things like that, where people are going on and discussing things, they come up on search engines as well, because they are fresh content. And so if you see that information on a forum, correcting it is really important, so that, because that's still going to go out to people are still going to look that up and they are going to come across that information. So even if you see it and think, oh, they're going to get they'll find out eventually, or they'll get the right. It doesn't matter because it's just a little chat room. It's so important to update those chat rooms as well, or chat rooms. Are they called chat rooms these days? I don't know. Show my age. Forums. Yeah.
I know, I see everything, like TikTok people, and like I constantly try to do these, like, oh, I see someone shaking her belly and acting like it's funny. I'm like, that's not funny, so I have to do my little reel where I talk about it, and it's like, I can't keep up with that.
No.
But if anyone sends me stuff like that, I'm happy to try, because unfortunately you can't comment on everything, but you try to keep up with that stuff. And it's just,
I've started to notice a lot more on our social media, people commenting on our behalf, that they will comment and say, you need to go and look at, that's wrong, that's incorrect, and kind of going, it's taking a bit of weight off me having to constantly be looking to know there are so many other people out there who are sort of acting as advocates as well. And I don't think that can go underestimated or, underappreciated. It's so important, and really grateful to everyone that does do those comments. And, when you do see one of those videos, if I see one on home Dopplers, I get all wound up, and then I read the comments and 90% of them are, don't use a home Doppler, don't use a Doppler. And it's just really reassuring that kind of progress is being made on the ground level, but we need to get it up as well.
That's true.
All the way up.
Here we have Measure the Placenta. One of our other partner orgs is commenting. It's so challenging when it's an influencer with such a big reach too. And she's glad that I reposted and set the record straight. But yeah, it's hard because I have seen even like people who did the home birth, and everyone has different situations, but we don't know, like, are they being seen by midwives? Do they have a team? Do they know, the quickest way to the hospital if there's emergency or whatever? But they only show the good parts. They show, the baby arrives and everything. And I'm just concerned because things like that can also be misleading. Like, we need to share everything if we're going to share anything, especially on that side of it. But anything else anyone wants to throw in before we close? And I wanted to show a little clip here of our push film at the end, just so encouraging everyone to watch that. It just came out. It's actually highlighting this very important topic for everyone to see. It's only 7 minutes long, so we're using it at conferences, and we've had other advocates asked to use it as well. So you're welcome to do that. And it shows, how different things can turn out, because whether you're giving the poor advice from your provider of just take your time, drink juice, come in if you're still concerned later, it kind of discourages you from coming it right away, especially if they're making you feel like, well, did you feel any movement? Well, yeah, I did, but it's not your baby's normal. Then you should just already be in the car on the way, So we'll show a little clip of that at the end here. But go ahead, Elizabeth.
I was just going to say that back to, if anyone is unsure about the content, to check out either the consensus statement that I think is on the PUSH website, or if you go to the Kicks Count website, there is a tab for correct information. Feel free to just copy and paste it and put it on your website. There's no plagiarism. We're not going to come for you. Copy it exactly as it is, paste it on your website. That's absolutely fine. Just get the correct information out there.
I think it's important, for women, not only to know what to look for in their baby's movements, but also what to expect when they go to, or they call the doctor, or they go to the hospital. They shouldn't be dismissed, and they should know, like Emily was saying, they should know that there are non-stress tests to go through, their biophysical profile, there's checkups, to make sure that your baby's okay, but that you're okay also. Because sometimes change in your baby's movements can also indicate something that's a health scare for your baby, but for yourself as well. You can be in danger too. So
I would just add that the power of one conversation, the power of one comment in a chat has the power to save a life. And so this community that's doing something about it, speaking up in a chat, speaking up to to anyone that might have misinformation, is so powerful. It can save lives. And so I just want to say thanks again for including us and for the powerful work that you're doing. It really does take all of us, and just one little conversation, we've seen it time and time again, can absolutely save a life. So thank you.
I think this comment here is kind of highlighting, Nadine, what you said about how the doctors also react in a certain way. So yeah, I'm just so sorry that anyone has lived through a loss like we have, and we just really hope that this project will help and empower the community and empower each other, like you said, Emily, because I do think it's awesome also, like Elizabeth said, when someone's using our wording out there in the world, just like freely, like on TikTok or something, I see another advocate mom or, whoever, just like, no, you're normal, and, use your mom voice, like all the different terms that we've kind of used and we've adopted from other organizations as well, because that's what we need. We need to just keep spreading the right advice and making sure that moms, like, you guys know your body, your baby best and everything. Like, we don't need to just keep seeing 65 babies a day die here in our country. And you guys already shared your statistics also. It's not acceptable when we can be saving lives. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to see if we could play this clip. If we can't, then you guys know where to find it. But this is from the short film. It's called Push, or Stillness is an Illness is the website. Stillnessisanillness.com. You can watch it there now. And then at the end of that film, there's actually a petition for signatures, which we're really just gathering to show if we ever go to meetings. This is a concern for people. We really want standardized protocols in our country, and other countries have adopted them. They are reducing the stillbirth rate. It's not something we have to be complacent about. We can make sure that more families have their babies in their arms instead of the bears and the things that we get to hold on to now, unfortunately. And I just hate reliving my loss when I talk about Owen, though. It makes me feel good that at least there's something happening and change is happening. And, I wish this has been done prior to all of us here that have lost children, but we're going to make sure that it doesn't keep happening to other families. So thank you all. Thank you, Emily, for your team and everybody all across the country and the world joining with us. And please continue to share what you can and the good information. And we always repost and reshare. So please feel free to tag Push. We'll be happy to spread your message too if you're smaller charities. We're all pretty much newer. Like Sam said, Nadine and our charity, we're newer, but we're just trying to catch up to everybody else to make sure we got all our information out that's accurate, and that all the voices are being heard in all our communities. And so please definitely let us know if there's something you're working on and you want us to help lift up too. So thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see here. Adding this, and I don't know. Hey, it did work. So thank you guys. Go check that out. It's really a great production. It was a director, Ingrid Haas, wrote and directed, and all the cast just kind of jumped into it in the role. They didn't know what they were getting into. And we were there, Sam and I, to kind of oversee the production. And we were just like, we can't really say much. It was going so well. It's just so vivid. And it just, luckily, it doesn't get, very graphic or anything. So you can show this to anyone, it just really alarms you, though, what happens, and like that moment that you feel the change and what you should do and what you shouldn't do, and hopefully the end result is you come home with your baby. So let's go check.
I think I would encourage anyone in the UK to watch it as well, because I think for me the shock of that there is no standardized protocol for that across the US just baffled me. It shocked me, and so watching that video was just, encourage everybody to watch it.
Yeah, me also in Canada, you should watch it too. It's very impactful.
I know, Emily, you're watching it. You've already watched it. But everyone here is like really stunned when they see it. I think for myself personally, when I finally saw it was actually at the premiere. We all decided we'll just let ourselves be surprised, and we trust this crew and this team that we put together that were just amazing. They're very professional. So we're just like, we'll just let them do the cuts, and then we'll see the film like everyone else, just be shocked by it. And I was crying the entire time because it's just so moving to me. Like, obviously I went through this experience and it didn't turn out well for me. My son didn't make it from the resuscitation part of it, but at the end of the day, like I just was seeing it like, oh my God, we have a tool now to show people this is so important. And now we have this. And it just means so much to me that, the moment Owen died, I was like, God, this cannot just happen and that be it. I have to do something with this pain. And so I just like so thankful for everyone involved with the movie, and all like Cobase is our partner on that as well. It's just been so hard to like relive, like I said, all the time when I do this work. I just wish I could give it to someone else, but until we really see the change happening everywhere, we just have to keep advocating and using our stories and making people aware that it can happen to anybody, unfortunately. So we have to work really hard so that it doesn't happen again. So thank you guys for being here and for being our partners too. We appreciate all of you.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
See you on the web. Send us messages. Bye.
Bye.